Welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. When you're ready to transform your sales for today's transforming market, we've got you covered. With your host, the queen of cold calling and founder of Salesology, award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and coach, Wendy Weiss.
Hi, welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. And I'm your host, Wendy Weiss. I am the founder of Salesology and the Salesology Prospecting Method. I'm also known as the queen of cold calling. And today we have a very special 1-year anniversary segment. We are turning the tables. I am here with my friend and colleague and also my coach, Michael Neeley of the Infinite List. We're turning the tables because Michael is going to hold my feet to the fire and he is going to interview me and ask me the hard questions. So welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And I should say, welcome, Wendy, to the Salesology podcast. It's great to have you on the show.
Oh, and I am honored to be on my show.
It's awesome. I love doing the table turning, and it's especially fun to get to interview someone who has been working with me in getting this podcast up and running. And I feel like I know it's your baby, but it also feels a little bit like I've got to midwife it with you. And so this is really fun and exciting, and I'm thrilled to be able to interview you today.
Well, cool. Yes, it is our 1-year anniversary. We will have done 52 episodes by the time this airs.
I love that. Okay, so here's the deal. Take your shoes off, take your socks off. I'm putting your feet to the fire. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, here we go. I've got to know first and foremost, and this has been, I love the name, but what is Salesology?
Salesology. What the hell is Salesology?
Yeah, what do you do and why is that important? I mean, Salesology, great name, and now let's dig into it.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Salesology is a step-by-step process to build a pipeline of qualified opportunities and close more sales faster, more easily, and more profitably. Our company, Salesology, we work with business owners, we work with sales teams that are just sick of the boom and the bust, never quite knowing where that next client is coming from and what to do with a good lead if they happen to have one. And so what we do is we teach a very simple 3-step method that increases qualified appointments and increases sales.
I love it. And one of the things I'm going to be dating myself here a little bit with this, but as you talked about like what it helps people do, it kind of reminded me of the $1 million man, the $6 million man. Do you remember that? It's like we can build him back better, faster, stronger. And that's kind of what you're doing with Salesology, because come on, we all want to be able to accomplish more, make more, and do it with less effort, more ease. And that's what Salesology feels like to me, what it's all about, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So many business owners and so many salespeople are working really, really hard and they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. And
a lot of business owners are scared of sales. And the truth is, sales is a lot of fun, and it's the reward you get for offering value to your client. I actually looked up the word sell in the dictionary, and the dictionary definition of the word sell is to persuade someone of the worth or the value of whatever it is you're selling. So this concept of value is actually inherent in the definition of the word sell. So part of my mission is to help business owners, to help sales professionals understand that by selling, you are offering value, you're helping people.
I love that. I'm gonna use that to persuade someone of the value of something. That's brilliant. And I love that definition of it because it really does shift it and turn it around a little bit on its head there, which I think is so important because you're right. The word selling, some people feel an ickiness or a negative aspect around it that when you flop that, I bet that even helps with the sales, does it not? When you shift that, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And, I would even argue further that if you're not selling, if you're not going out and sharing your message with your best fit type prospect, you're doing them a disservice. There are people out there in the world, they need your help. They don't know
Yes.
you exist. They need your help. And if you don't let them know that you're out there and you don't talk to them and you don't make an offer, that's the part people don't like to do. They don't want to make an offer. But if you don't
Right.
make the offer, then they're never going to know that you can help them and how you can help them. And so you're really doing them a disservice.
I really love that. And you know what? I think that's a perfect segue to this next question I'd like to ask you, which is why did you start a podcast in the first place?
Yeah. So, because I came to you, Michael, because I wanted to start a podcast. And my mission, it has really been to get the word out, to help people that are struggling increase their sales. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of myths about selling. And so this is really, it's simply part of my mission to deliver in the best way that I know how, the real scoop. All of the people that I have interviewed in this past year, they have been sales experts, marketing gurus. I interviewed you, Michael Neeley, on how to start a podcast to get your message out there. Revenue generation gurus. So all of these people, some of them are really well known. Some of them maybe weren't so well known, but they're all like in the trenches, doing it, rocking it, and making the world a better place by selling. And so that's my mission, is to get that information out to help people.
I love that. And as you talk about a little bit what you were saying in selling and persuading someone of value and making an offer, well, a podcast is kind of like that. You're putting an offer out there. It's not a paid offer. People are getting access to it for free, but you're offering them your insights, your wisdom, and that of the people that you bring on as guests. And I think it's a great thing to do. One of the challenges, as we both know, is keeping it going and being excited about it. So I'm curious, what do you like most, and maybe even a little bit least, about doing a podcast?
I have really been having a great time doing this podcast because I get to talk to people that in the regular course of my life, I would never talk to. And I get to have really interesting conversations with them. Everybody that I have interviewed, I started out interviewing, I did the low hanging fruit. I interviewed a bunch of people that I already knew. And then I had to start reaching out to people that I didn't know, to ask them to come on my show, let me interview you. And it's been really, really interesting because people that I've met, they've talked about things that I don't necessarily know a lot about, and different systems that maybe I don't know a lot about, but I'm always learning something new every time I interview a guest. And that's been really fun.
Well, I love that. And actually, before we get into maybe then the part that you don't like, I want to just dig deeper into this, because here's the truth of the matter. As a podcast host, you can get access to people you might not normally get access to. And I shouldn't just say access, but you're getting free access to people that you're picking their brains. You get to ask them all kinds of questions that you want to. So as a host, I mean, I look at it as kind of like what you were saying. Not only are you getting to meet all these cool people, but you're also getting to learn from them. And so you get to pick kind of who you want to bring on and talk to. And I think that'd be a total blast. And I know you've learned a lot from it. I'm sure your audience has learned a great deal from it. Have you found there to be any other kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the side effects or other bonuses that were unexpected other than what you get just in the interview process.
Oh, absolutely. Because when some of the people that I have interviewed, then we finished the interview and then we've continued the conversation. And often those conversations have led to partnerships, joint venture partnerships, things that we can work on together, referrals. And those are bonuses, because I didn't necessarily go into the podcast or ask for the interview with that in mind. But when I was talking to somebody that was really interesting, that had a great service, that I thought, well, gee, this could really help my clients, I want to find out more about it, we'd have that conversation. Or sometimes they'd say to me, oh, what you do is really interesting, let's talk. And so I've developed some great partnerships, some new friends. It's a lot of bonuses from doing the podcast.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, being a host and a coach myself of it, obviously I love it. But there are some downsides. I know there are certain things that I don't necessarily like as much. What are those things for you? What do you not like about doing a podcast?
I don't like anything having to do with technology. I don't want to do it. But yeah. the good news here, I'm going to give you a plug, Michael. When I first started working with Michael, one of the things I wanted to work on was launching a podcast. And Michael is an expert in how to launch a podcast. And how many podcasts do you have, Michael?
6 right now.
Michael has 6 podcasts. So he knows his stuff. And Michael walked me through the process. And the things that I did not want to do, which was almost everything except interview the guests, we found somebody else to do them. And if I had to figure it out on my own, I would never have this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. There are certain elements that I don't like to do. And what was weird for me was I did my own editing for the longest time, but that is one of the things that I liked it in the beginning, but I think I burned myself out on it. But you're right. It's easy to find someone who can take on the parts that you don't want to do. And I think this is important too, because you get to stay in your wheelhouse, in your area of genius, which for you is being the host. You know the questions to ask. You know how to get those golden nuggets from your guests. So I'm going to put you in the spot here a little bit with this one. What would you say? Let me just kind of phrase this 2 different ways, and I'll let you pick how you want to answer it. Number 1, maybe who was your favorite guest, or what was the favorite conversation or piece of information that you got that really stood out to you in your podcast history so far, your 1 year of it so far?
Oh my goodness. Those are hard questions. I don't want hate mail from guests. Well, of course, Michael, you were my favorite guest. Well, of course.
Good answer. Good answer. I taught you well.
Yeah. But I have a teachable moment here. I want to go back to something that you said. I'll answer your question in a minute. But I want to go back to something that you said about finding other people to do the things that you don't want to do. And I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs, they think they have to do it all themselves. And I have actually met coaches that tell business owners they have to learn how to do everything. And I think that's kind of crazy, because I don't really want to do, I don't really want to be a CPA. I don't want to file my own taxes. I don't really want to be my own doctor. I don't really want to be my own attorney. So if I'm going to outsource those important things to other people that actually know what they're doing, why shouldn't I outsource a lot of the things that I'm not good at, I don't want to do? I'll probably do them really badly because I don't want to do them. Why shouldn't I outsource them?
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that. And actually, it's fun hearing you turn that into a teaching moment, because some of this stuff, it makes me even think deeper. I'm like, there are still some things that I do that I probably shouldn't be, that I could hand off more stuff. So I love that. Thank you, Wendy.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. You know what? Go ahead, and then I'm gonna add something to that.
Oh, I was going to answer your question, which is I've actually met a number of people in interviewing them for this podcast that have very complementary and related services to what we do. And so that gives me an opportunity to offer more value to my clients. And I think that's been one of we said it earlier, that's been a bonus.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely is. And it's one of the perks, I think, of being a podcast host that people don't even expect when they get into it, but I think it's a really juicy one. And speaking of juicy ones, I've got another good question for you. But before we dig into that, let's hear a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Okay, a word from our sponsor, the Salesology Vault. Just about every guest that I've interviewed on the Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders podcast has had a free gift for our listeners. So what we've done is we have taken all of those gifts and we have put them all in one place just for you. We call it the Salesology Vault, and it is packed full of free gifts from sales leaders, sales experts, marketing gurus, revenue generation experts. And we add another gift every single week. When we release the podcast on Monday morning, we add a gift. So you can log in as often as you'd like. You can download as many gifts as you'd like, and it's all free. So go to bit.ly/gift vault, or the link to the Salesology Vault is in the show notes. So as soon as you finish listening to this podcast, go to the notes, click on the link, download your gift. You will be glad you did.
Beautiful. I love that. And welcome back from that short little break from our sponsor. And I got to say, that's brilliant. And which leads me perfectly to the next question, because I'm going to have you answer, but then I'm going to throw in my little answer if you don't mind. What have you learned from doing your podcast?
What have I learned from doing my podcast? It's very interesting, the different people that I've talked to, and it has really helped me hone some of my skills. As a sales professional, you have to be good at talking to different types of people. And so those are skills that I've already had, but in this, it's a different arena. And sometimes I'll book a guest and I have to coax them to be a little bit more forthcoming with whatever it is we're talking about. Sometimes I have a guest that just keeps talking and they're not really on topic anymore, and I have to rein them back in. And so it has been such an interesting journey, in addition to my skill set and just talking to people and also meeting them where they are.
Yeah, that one's super important on that piece. And I want to say something that I've learned from doing podcasting, because I literally, even though I may have somehow kind of knew it because we've talked about it before, but it's landed with me in a whole different way in speaking to you. Your Salesology Sales Vault, that's brilliant. To add a free gift from every one of your guests who comes on the show, and you add it to the vault week after week that your listeners can get access to, and they get all of that for free. That's brilliant. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it occurred to me one day, because guests come on, they have a gift.
Yeah.
And I realized somebody listening to a podcast, they might download that one gift, but there's 51 other gifts. We've been doing
Yes.
this for a year. And so we just decided to put them all together. And you don't have to just get one gift. You can get 52. And very soon, we'll have 104.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is where I think that is so brilliant, is because, well, for a couple of levels, and one we'll dig into a little bit deeper in a moment. But the first level of it is that it is like the gift that keeps on giving, truly, because every week someone will want to tune back in to see, hey, what gift can I get this week? And each week for you, the people that you bring in, like I just learned from interviewing you here about how you've put that together and the positioning of it. And it sounds like such a brilliant idea. If everybody tunes in, if you just take one golden nugget away from an episode every time, some of those could be life-changing, business-altering ideas. And I'm sure in your vault there, you've got a tremendous amount of material that people could benefit greatly from.
Absolutely, because we've had such a wide variety of different types of experts speaking on different sales, marketing, and revenue generation related topics. So there's something for everyone.
Okay, so now I'm going to put on your shoes. You took off your shoes and socks to put your feet to the fire. So I'm going to put on your shoes now, and I'm going to try to think of what would Wendy ask if she was in my shoes right now. And so I'm going to position a question to you in your sales experience. What are the biggest challenges you experience? I'm going to give you two ways, and I'll let you pick which one, or maybe you choose to answer both sides of this. Which is the biggest challenge in booking the appointment, or which is the biggest challenge in overcoming an objection? And if you do an objection, like what's the biggest objection you usually get?
So you're talking about booking a sales appointment as opposed to a podcast appointment, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Prospecting, lots of times people think it's really hard. Prospecting is about having a system, tracking what you're doing, and understanding your market. The question that we always, we ask our clients two questions. The first question we ask them is, describe an ideal prospect, which is a really hard exercise for most people. But we ask them to describe that ideal prospect. And once we have a firm understanding of what an ideal prospect is, then the next question is, what's the problem they have that you can fix? And how do they talk about it? Because what most people do when they're talking to prospects is they speak in their own jargon. They talk about what they do. And nobody really cares what you do. They care how they're going to be better off when you finish. So what's the problem that you're fixing, and how do your prospects talk about it? And, what's the thing that makes your prospects just tear out their hair? We specialize in working with owners of companies that are tearing out their hair because fill in the blank with the problem.
Yeah.
And so that's really the secret in trying to get that appointment, is you have to get someone's attention. You have to get them to listen to you. And
I love that.
when you do that, then the rest is a lot easier. And you asked me about objections. Most salespeople create the objections that they're having by what they're saying.
Oh, tell me more.
And, for example, the question I get asked all the time is, well, if I'm prospecting and I reach somebody and they say I'm not interested, what should I say? And if everyone you talk to says I'm not interested, that means they don't think you're saying anything interesting. You need to say something else. So that goes back to what's the problem they have that you can help them with. And one of the things we do with our clients is we'll have them interview their existing client, get answers to some of these questions. And setting up the appointment correctly not only gets you the appointment, but it makes it much more likely that you will actually close the sale. And I can give you a very concrete example. We had someone in our program, our 3X appointments program, about a year and a half ago. His name was Jason, and he was a commercial insurance salesperson. And his manager enrolled him in our program. Jason was not happy. He was not happy. And he said to me, I get a lot of appointments. I don't need to ping you. He said, my problem is I'm not closing any sales. I'm not getting any clients because our pricing's too high, but I don't have any problems getting appointments. So I said, okay, Jason, what are you saying to get the appointment? So what Jason was saying was, I'd like to see if I could save you some money on your insurance. The problem was he couldn't. The pricing was high. So what he was saying was getting him appointments, but he was getting appointments with people that wanted to save money, something he couldn't help them with. So he was by what he was saying, he was setting up the problem, not to getting an appointment. He was setting up the problem to getting the client. He was setting up the roadblock all by himself. So we changed his introduction, and he started getting appointments with people that became clients.
That totally makes sense. And that's so astute that you would pick something out like that, because you're absolutely right. If you can't save somebody money, then definitely you're not going to want to use that as a lead in to get them to book time with you. It seems like it would be a no-brainer, but I guess if you're just driven by getting the appointment, you're going to maybe say what it may take, but not realizing that whether you can follow through or not. Would you say, is that some of the issue?
That is part of the issue. And the other part of the issue is just using your prospect language. Going back to what's the problem you solve and how do they talk about it? Because what we go for when you reach out to a prospect, the reaction you want is not, God, another salesperson called me, another salesperson emailed me. What you want is, oh, this guy Michael gets me. He understands. I want to talk to Michael.
Yeah.
And when you get the language right, that's what happens.
I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. All right, Wendy, we are getting close to the end of our time together, sad as that may be, but I want to know from you, what is something about yourself that other people don't necessarily know about you?
Well, I think a fair number of people know that I used to be a dancer. That was my first career. I danced with Pittsburgh Ballet Theater and I danced with the Cincinnati Ballet. But what they may not know is I'm still dancing. And not only am I still dancing, I am still performing. And I performed recently in a choreographer showcase at Bridge for Dance in New York City. I had a solo that was choreographed for me by Ginger Thatcher, who works on Broadway. And so she choreographed a solo for me, and I danced to the Annie Lennox rendition of God Bless the Child. And it was really fun. So I am still dancing. It's been a lifelong passion, and I am still doing it.
I will say I did know that about you. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to get to see a video of your performance, and I love it. I hope that you'll make that available even somewhere for your listeners of the Salesology podcast to check it out, because it was amazing. Now, I'm going to dig a little deeper in this if we've got another minute here. So being that I have a background in theater, I have my degrees are in that. I had to take dance as part of it. And one of the things that I learned a little bit, I did a little bit of ballet just to, you take a class. I was not good, but I also did some other, like what would be considered modern dance. And would you say that the dance piece that you did was kind of a combination ballet, modern? What would you call that particular style?
Modern or contemporary. I mean, I am a classically trained ballet dancer, but that was definitely contemporary.
Got it. Well, and you could see that you're a ballet dancer just by your poise and your elegance and just all of the movement. So fabulous, fabulous. I hope that your listeners will get a chance to see that, because it is something to see. You're a fabulous dancer and a great performer.
Oh, well, thank you. So maybe we will get that. I have a new video because I danced again just recently. So when we get that new video, we'll get it out there for our listeners. That'll be fun. So thank you for suggesting that.
Absolutely. Well, it's brilliant, and I think people would love to see it. I know I really enjoyed it. And thank you, Wendy, for joining us here today on the Salesology podcast.
Well, thank you, Michael, for being here and holding my feet to the fire. And I will close as I always do, which is if you found value in listening to today's podcast, then please think of one business owner or one sales professional, somebody that you know that you think would also find value in listening to the podcast. And please do share the link with them. And till we meet again, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, really large bills.
You've been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. Be sure to follow so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every week for more exciting insights and wisdom on transforming sales. And until next time, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, very large bills.